Hey everybody, we've got a very exciting episode. I interview the CEO of Boxabl, Paolo Tiramani, and we talk a little bit about Boxabl, some of the history, the mission behind it, the management philosophy, design philosophy, international growth, goals of the company, and some fun questions at the end. Uh, we also have some people of inspiration and some really great advice for entrepreneurs who are starting their own businesses. So I really hope you enjoy this episode and yeah, enjoy.
I just wanna ride my bike, yeah. I'm just sick of always watching the news. I just wanna go outside, yeah. Spend a weekend way up top with a view.
Started in on the East Coast. Originally started on the East Coast, just outside of New York. And when we decided to actually go live with the venture, we moved to Las Vegas, North Las Vegas, to set up the factory and develop the product. So we had a very conscious move.
Wow.
I would say probably 4.5 years ago.
Oh, that's interesting. So you guys were in the Connecticut area, right?
Yes, correct.
Oh, cool.
Right. We're doing R&D in Connecticut.
So that how's the move from Connecticut to Las Vegas? Was that like
Well, when we decided to set up, we could set up really anywhere in the world. And of course, being the good patriots that we are, it had to be the USA. And looking at it from the company's point of view, the traffic corridor out west is great. Port access is great. Not being in California is great.
yeah.
Nevada has no personal income tax, very business friendly climate. And also where we are, not just in Las Vegas, but in North Las Vegas, the mayor and the local municipality are very pro business. So that's been very helpful.
Hmm.
And of course, everything, rail, the highway is great. Access to the ports is not too bad. And finally, we have a tremendous amount of visitors daily. So we are 20 minutes from the Las Vegas Strip, and everybody likes to come to Las Vegas,
Yeah.
even our business partners, investors, large and small customers for the Boxabl product. So they can combine a couple of things. They can do a little bit of business and have a nice dinner somewhere.
Yeah, that's cool that it's super close to the strip. And do you guys plan on making it like where people could do factory tours or something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we call it Factory One, which is behind me. I can maybe show you there. It's sort of a vanishing point factory. We're just setting it up now. It's very, very nice. And as large as it is, it's about an eighth of a mile long. It's 4 acres under a roof, 172,000 square feet. But it is Factory One. It is the smallest factory we will ever build. We, in fact, have plans to build. We're just planning now to build significantly larger factories. And this one is very much a showcase to the public. So it has been set up from the beginning to take walk-ins to do factory tours. We have 2 people dedicated just to giving the tours. We have a six-seat electric car to bring people around. And it is as close to a Disney ride as you can get for a factory. It's the folks' enthusiasm for the product that have allowed us to do this project. And so we're terribly grateful. And the company is completely geared to customer service. And for folks just showing up out of the blue, we welcome them. We put them in an orange hat, like this one, and a vest, and we give them a nice tour.
Yeah, no, it's super cool. I really love how you guys integrated the assembly line. So that was really awesome. So actually, let's just get the introduction. So who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, so I'm Paolo Tiramani. I'm the CEO of Boxabl, the new construction technology company that is disrupting the marketplace. We have behind us our first factory as a startup, and we'll be doing things very, very quickly and growing very, very quickly over the next few years.
And what makes Boxable different from other modular houses?
Right. So building construction industry is what we call in a pre-industrial condition. It is the only thing that we all buy that is not in a factory. Everything that takes advantage of post-industrial or factory production, if you like, we expect high quality, high speed, low cost, lots of features, great customer service, and we do not get that with building construction and residences currently. And the reason that happens is because the reason we don't get those things is because we're not in a factory for those products. And we're not in a factory for those products because those products are big. And of course, they don't ship down the highway. It's impossible to ship them down the highway. There are factory solutions like the one you mentioned, like a modular, and there's also HUD homes, trailer homes, tiny homes, and they're really effectively the worst of both worlds. The highest quality of those is the modular home market, but even then they can only ship 14-foot wide down the highway. They require flag cars front and rear, oftentimes special permits. They can only go about 200-mile radius. And worst of all, the worst sin is that they're really still stick building in a roof, under a roof. They're not taking advantage of factory equipment. The 14-foot wide, which is their maximum, is also unappealing for design and for architects. There are standard dimensions, 3-foot stairways, 2-foot closets, 5-foot bathrooms, approximately standard dimensions for 3-foot doors and couches and such. And it just doesn't work for the architect. 14 is not a good number. It needs to be 17, 18 at a minimum. And so for the effort of stick building under a roof in a factory, the person that receives that home has to live with the legacy issue of having rooms that are too narrow for a one-time inefficient shipment. It makes absolutely no sense. Boxabl product ships 8.5 foot down the highway, which is standard container size, 13.5 foot from the tarmac or the roadway. And we can ship all over the world. Our product has fork pockets. For full production, we'll have ISO corners just like the containers, and it just slots straight into standard shipping infrastructure, railway, highway, air freight, you name it. We can ship all over the world. But the remarkable thing is, even though we ship only 8.5 foot wide, which means we can go down even any roadway, any driveway to get to the back of a house or a lot that hasn't been fully cleared. But the Boxabl product unpacks not to 14-foot wide, it unpacks to an unbelievable almost 20-foot wide. So from 8.5 foot, it unpacks 20-foot wide. It's a true 18 feet on the narrow side of the interior dimension. And then the other exciting thing is that we have 9.5 foot ceilings. So you have to say to yourself, with the largest Boxabl building shell, which would have a 40-foot clear span, a 9.5 foot ceiling, and the narrowest dimension is 18 feet, what can't I build with that? And the answer is, you can build almost everything with that. So there's a very fundamental difference in the product. And that's just solving the critical shipping issue, which has not allowed other factory solutions to scale. We've cracked it, we've solved it, we've patented it, and we're scaling very, very fast.
Yeah, I'm really digging the idea and the concept. So I really like that. It reminded me of this one building in Japan called the Naga Capsule Tower. So basically, those are just towers that are stacked on to each other. It's about 140 capsules. Have you heard of the building in Tokyo?
No, but I've been to Japan a number of times, and I know that the smaller units and the sort of modularized, capsulized type living is quite popular there.
Yeah, so you get the general idea, but it's just a very one size capsule. So there was a downside to that, and the plan was to destroy the capsules after every single year or every single like 20 years, I think. But nobody, it had to be a group. Like everybody in the building had to agree because one capsule affects all the other capsules, and yeah, so that was the downside of that. And with Boxabl, it kind of solves that too. Rather than having one domino like fall over, you can just replace the domino, you know? So it's
You
cool.
certainly don't want people destroying capital assets
Hmm.
at all. We'd rather they reuse and recycle them. And you make a good point in terms of sustainability and reusability. Our products are very reusable. You can add to them, make them larger. If your use case, you add family members, and then you can also make the product smaller if you don't like your tax rate, or you have your empty nesters and you don't want to pay the tax rate, or if you don't like the taxing period, you can just pack the home up with multiple modules
Hmm.
and you can bring it with you to another state. So it gives a tremendous amount of freedom to folks and a level of freedom and opportunity with housing that I think is incredible to most people the first time they see what is possible with the Boxable product.
It really is kind of selling freedom where you can just go from place to place and just keep reusing that and yeah, the materials and sustainability. So yeah, I was learning about like some of the materials you're using it for the side panels. It's like incredibly durable and it doesn't let a lot of like energy go out. And so yeah, no, it's a
Yeah,
really cool idea. I like that.
yeah.
Um,
On the materials that we use, again, one of the things because we're in a post-industrial factory, we don't have to have little sticks of wood, 2x4s, and
mhm.
hammers and nails, of course, and little bricks. And of course, we have to do that in the field because a guy has to, walk up a ladder and set these things down in the heat, in the cold, and nail them in one at a time. But we don't do that. We work with very, very large unitary panels, and they're basically laminated panels. And these first two machines that you see behind me is one. Here's another one. And these are very, very large machines. And our homes are laminate panels, like a layer cake, one layer, on top of another layer, on top of another layer. And the homes are comprised of a cocktail of different materials to get the job done. And those materials are steel and concrete and insulation material and a ceramic non-flammable panel that we use on the interior instead of the crumbly drywall, which is not very good. And then when those things are laid together, we put glue in between every layer, and then we put them into vacuum chambers, monstrous 50-foot vacuum chambers that suck everything together with 1/4 of a million um, uh, pounds of pressure. And when those panels come out, they come out as one big unitary piece. And if you had big giant hands and you could pick them up, you would not be able to bend that panel compared to, a flimsy panel made of sticks and drywall.
Plywood, yeah.
And that gives us a massive advantage in terms of shear and bending loads, torsion, stiffness. And as you mentioned, the thermal capacity is immense because there's no thermal bridging from the outside panel to the inside of the panel. All we have inside is pure insulation material. There is no bridge from the inside to the outside as you have with a traditional home. With a traditional home, you have wood framing and it bridges from the inside to the outside. And it is a bridge from heat to go from one side to the other very, very quickly. And it's very, very bad. And we don't have that. So tremendous insulation value to the product.
Hmm. Yeah, that's really cool. I really love that. Just the innovation between the materials too. So yeah, so company mission. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So it's important for a company mission to be very, very succinct, very accurate, and very short. And ours is to put as many roofs over as many people's heads at the lowest price and the highest quality as quickly as we can. That's the mission of the company. Very concise. We are not a charity, we're not registered as a charity, but we did start the company to do good works.
Hmm.
We are all about fixing a global problem in terms of housing. And housing is frankly a disaster. It takes too long, the quality is too poor, it is far too expensive, it is incredibly inflexible, and it's immovable. And those are all very, very bad things. And it's led us to the situation we have both within our national borders, which is what I care most about, but secondarily